In this video, I'd like to share with you my go-to breakfast formula that I use probably 5 times a week, to be honest, and that you can use to make endless variations of delicious, health-boosting, filling oatmeal recipes to start your day right. Oats are an incredible whole grain that give us a great source of whole food calories, good source of energy that we need to keep going throughout the morning. But beyond that, they're actually packed with micronutrients like iron and zinc and B vitamins. Plus, they're loaded with fibre, which is so beneficial for our health, for our cardiovascular health, and also for our gut microbiome as well. In fact, oats contain a particular type of soluble fibre called beta-glucan. And oats are one of the very few foods through this beta-glucan that have been shown to lower our bad LDL cholesterol. So they're a really heart-healthy, cardiovascular system-healthy food. But oatmeal, or porridge as we tend to call it in the UK, does not need to be bland and boring. Using this formula that I'm about to show you, I amp up both the taste and the nutritional value of my morning oatmeal, and I experience fantastic energy, mood, and vitality as a result. So let me introduce you to the Oatmeal Approach, and hopefully you too can benefit from this wonderful food formula. Let's dive in, friend. I'm Dr. Ryan Williams, your host and the founder of Growing Pure, where I help you achieve health and vitality through delicious vegan food. Now, before I get started, if you would like an incredible oatmeal in the morning and you don't have a lot of time or brain space to think hard about recipes, then I would like to offer you a free picture summary of the Oatmeal Approach that I'm going to show you in this video. You can take it, it's real simple, use it in your own kitchen, you don't have to think too hard, it's just one nice picture, it's easy to remember. And if that would be helpful to you, you can get that totally for free, just click on the link in the description below. Alright, let me show you this Oatmeal Approach. We're going to start in the obvious place with some oats. That's my very fantastic artistic impression of an oat. Okay, so oats, honestly, you can choose whichever type you want. I quite like the jumbo oats. They're sort of what you might call kind of rolled oats. They're a little bit, they've got a bit more bite to them, but really you just want any oat that's a whole grain. You don't want any of the fibre or the bran removed or anything like that, because that's removing nutrition as well. Plus, I actually think it tastes really nice, right? So just get a nice whole grain oat, ideally not cut too fine, although you can do that if you want. If the oat is cut finer, it will cook a bit faster, so that might be helpful. Next up are going to be some fruits. So we're going to have fruit 1, and fruit 2. This is pretty general, right? You can substitute in whatever fruits you like here. I tend to so personally I get like a box of fruit delivered once every 2 weeks, and it has all kinds of stuff in it, whatever, apples, bananas, pears, berries, kiwi fruit, oranges, satsumas, pomegranate, you name it. Anything will work here. And this is a really great way of making your oatmeal go a bit further, but you're also getting beautiful fruits in there. You're getting that excellent nutrition, that hydration as well from that water, really, really nice. Now, I won't always just use 2 fruits. I normally use at least 2, but depending what I've got in, I might use 3 or even 4. Okay, so go with whatever you like. Probably at least 2 fruits, because I think you're getting that variety of both taste and texture in your mouth, but also nutrition. And then down here, I'm going to specifically say a dried fruit. So here's my sort of crinkled dried fruit. Now, the reason why I sort of distinguish the dried fruit from the fresh ones, or these could be frozen actually if you want to use frozen, is that because the water's been removed from the dried fruit, it's really going to sort of concentrate both the flavour and the natural sugar in the fruit. So I wouldn't suggest you need to add any sugar to this. I don't, and you really don't want to be adding refined sugar first thing in the morning. But if you're getting some sweetness and some sugar from that dried fruit, it's going to taste really nice, really sweet, really pleasant to eat. Now, one of the really cool things about this is that it ties in very well to Dr. Greger's daily dozen. Now, if you're not familiar with this comes from a book by a physician called Dr. Michael Greger, his book, How Not to Die. I did a review of it, and you can find it up there. But essentially, Dr. Greger suggests 12 sort of foods that we would ideally want to have on a daily basis for great health. And so we've got whole grains, fruits in there. So I tend to try and make either the dried fruit or one of the fresh fruits a berry, because berries are one of the daily dozen. They're so packed with antioxidants that they're almost a class unto themselves. So if you can get some berries in here, that's great. For the dried fruits, really, again, whatever you like. I think dates are great. Dried apricots are wonderful. Raisins are great. I often go for dried goji berries, prunes, whatever dried fruits you like. Down here, we're going to go for an element that's nuts or seeds. I'm going to do my impression of a nut. That's a walnut, if you couldn't tell by the artistic impression. So nuts and seeds are packed with nutrition. They've generally got loads of micronutrients, minerals, zinc, iron, vitamins, all that kind of thing. Also very high in fibre. Now they do tend to also be very high in fat, so you don't want to be using loads and loads of these. You know, a small handful. I think a good way of doing it is if you pour nuts or seeds into your palm, and once they reach sort of where your fingers join your palm, that's about the right portion size. So you've got like a small handful, and then it goes. Or you could use a tablespoon or two, something like that. So what nuts or seeds do I generally go for? Again, tying that into the daily dozen, I will often make this ground flax seeds. So flax seeds are one specifically of the daily dozen. One, because they have plenty of omega-3 fatty acids in them, but they also contain a type of naturally occurring chemical called lignans, which may help to prevent cancer. They also help to reduce blood pressure. So flax seeds are excellent, but you don't have to use those. You could use another type of seed, chia seeds, pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds. You could use walnuts. Again, they're very high in omega-3s. Brazil nuts, pecans, whatever you like. You could also, even if you want to there, use a nut or a seed butter, so a spoonful of peanut butter, something like that. And then there's one final element to the oatmeal approach. And this, you don't have to put this in, but I think it's quite nice, is some kind of spice. This is going to be, you can see it sprinkling on top of the oats. So spices tend to be extremely nutrient rich. They've got a lot of nutrition packed into quite a small space, and they tend to have excellent anti-inflammatory properties. So here I'd often go for something like cinnamon powder. I would also kind of put raw cacao powder in that bracket as well. You could use a little bit of nutmeg. Don't go too crazy on that, it's really strong. And okay, this sounds pretty mental, but do not knock it until you've tried it, okay? Cardamom seeds work really, really nicely in oatmeal. Get some cardamom seeds, maybe just grind them up a little bit if you can. Not too many, you know, a few. You'll get that beautiful flavor in there. It's this kind of zesty, kind of slightly citrusy, fresh, beautiful taste. I really, really like it. So these are the core elements of the oatmeal approach. You want some oats, 2 or more pieces of fresh or frozen fruit, a dried fruit for that bit of sweetness, some nuts or seeds. You get great texture there, great nutrition, and then you may want to add a little bit of some kind of spice to it as well. Now, in terms of the amounts, you really don't need to think too hard about it. Just eyeball it, right? Once you've done this once or twice, you'll get an idea for how much is right for you. So I'm not going to be weighing or measuring out these different things. I'm just going to be eyeballing it. And that's what I'd suggest you do. You know, first thing in the morning, whatever, you're getting ready for work, you're trying to get kids out the door, whatever it might be, you don't have the time to think of specific amounts. Just free pour it in, right? These are all healthy things, so have as much as you want. The more you eat of them, the healthier you are. And then you're going to want some liquid, obviously, to cook this in. So I usually use kind of a 50-50 mix of water and then a plant-based milk. Often I go with oat milk because that's the one that I tend to have in, but you could use soy milk or almond milk or whatever you want. I find that that mix of water and milk is quite good because then you're getting the flavor of the plant milk, but it goes a little bit further. If you use all that, then I get through it quite quickly and it's quite expensive. But if you use some of it as water, you still get the great taste, it goes further. And so then in terms of cooking this, my usual approach, just because I'm lazy and it's easy, is that I put all of these in a big bowl, add my liquid, and then microwave it for about 4 minutes, generally. Now, top tip here, please do not do this in a narrow bowl. It will probably overflow. You want a nice wide bowl. I usually use like a pasta bowl kind of thing. Alternatively, if you wanted to, you could cook this in a pan on the stovetop. That would be absolutely fine. I quite like cooking the fruits as well and just having it all together, because then everything's sort of warm and at the same temperature, which is quite pleasant. But you could just cook kind of the oats and the spice and the liquid and then add in the other stuff kind of raw afterwards. That would be fine too if you prefer that. So that is the oatmeal approach. Now let me show you a couple of examples for how I would actually use this in which ingredients I might choose here. Okay, first example, obviously starting with oats. Maybe then I'll add in some lovely banana and some apple. Really easy to get fruits, right? They taste great and they're generally available wherever you go because they're really common. Then maybe I'll add some dates. So lovely juicy medjool dates. Perhaps I'll just chop them up into a few kind of bite-sized pieces. You probably want to chop all of these kind of fruits into kind of, yeah, bite-sized pieces is good. And then perhaps I'll put in some walnuts. I love the taste and the crunch of walnuts. They're just really delicious. And then for my spice, I'd go with perhaps some raw cacao powder. So this is essentially chocolate powder, but it's healthy. It's actually good for you. It's really antioxidant rich, loads of iron in there. It's really, really good. Particularly if iron is a concern for you, you're a woman of menstruating age, your iron requirements will be a little bit higher. Cacao powder is really, really good for that. But instead of having chocolate with all that fat and sugar in there, you're getting a healthy version. This is really nice. This will be like a chocolate porridge. It's really, really delicious. I love it. Now, cacao powder is reasonably bitter, but having the dates in there balances it out with some sweetness. So then I'm just going to add some water, some oat milk, microwave it for 4 minutes. It's done. All right, another example. Again, starting with some lovely whole grain oats. Then maybe this is more of a, I guess, kind of tropical kind of one, you could say. So maybe I might go for 3 fruits in this one. So I might say kiwi fruit, some fresh blueberries, and let's say some fresh raspberries. Then for the dried fruit, let's go for some dried apricots. And then the nut or seed, yeah, let's go with some milled ground flaxseed, if I can spell it right. You might also see these called linseeds. And you really ideally want to make sure they're ground up, because if you just eat them whole, they just pass straight through your digestive system and you don't absorb much of the nutrition from it. So you want to grind them up so that your body can get at all of those wonderful nutrients. And then for my spice, I'd perhaps go for a little bit of cinnamon. I think cinnamon just works really well with oats. I think it complements the flavor really well. So these are 2 examples that I've done something very similar to this probably 100 times, okay? If you want some tried and true ones, you can make these exactly, but it's totally up to you. You can make up your own if you prefer. Now, I really like a food formula like this because I'm all about making the food that I prepare for myself and for others really fast and really simple and intuitive. But the great thing here is because you've got this method, you know it's going to be delicious and healthy as well. So when you're in that morning rush, this oatmeal approach is just going to be a kind of simple framework for you to remember and just to work through when you're throwing together some breakfast. And when I'm using this oatmeal approach, I know it's nourishing my body, it's helping me stay healthy, and critically, it's so delicious and so quick and so convenient that I know that I'll keep going back to it and I'll keep making it because it's easy, right? And it tastes good. And so that's why I love a simple framework like this. If you just remember this one idea, you can make endless variations of it and you won't ever get bored. Now don't forget, as a free bonus to you, if you want a pictorial reminder like I've just done here, just simple one-page PDF, you can get that for free by clicking on the link in the description below. And if you like the concept of a food formula like this, I've got a couple of others on my channel, in particular my bulletproof sauce formula. This shows you how to make delicious vegan oil-free sauces, dressings, marinades, all that kind of thing. If that sounds interesting to you, then you can click right here to watch that. Friend, I want to thank you so much for being here with me today and watching, and I will see you in the next video.